Welcome to another episode of the Crypto PowerPod, where joining me today I have Ash from Theoriq AI, and Ash is the marketing lead. So welcome to the PowerPod, Ash.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Ash. I'm a marketing lead for Theoriq. I've been with the team for the last 1.5 years. We've been in the agentic space for the last 3 years. So really started even before the ChatGPT came out. And we've been focusing on the applications of, agentic AI for specifically DeFi use cases.
Great to have you on the show, Ash. We've got 20 questions to get through, so I'll hit it off with question number 1. In one sentence, what problem does Theoriq AI solve?
So I can say in one word, it's the complexity of DeFi, really. I think agentic AI is the solution here because, we've all used ChatGPT and it significantly reduces the time on a task for you. So I think the same kind of impact we would have in the DeFi space where agents would help you to bridge the gap between the complexity of interactions and your user needs.
Nice. And what is the 30-second elevator pitch for Theoriq AI?
30-second elevator pitch. So I think the core of Theoriq is still in agent coordination. So that's sort of the focus of the technology itself. So we allow agents to communicate between each other. And that way, we believe that you would resolve much more complex tasks in a much more efficient way rather than, having one agent doing everything. And so, as I said, really now focusing on the liquidity provisioning. How do we make a swarm of agents very efficient in avoiding the impermanent loss, earning yield, earning fees, and really, making that available to the community. Yeah. That's probably what it is.
Swarms is a very interesting concept. How does the technology differ from competitors? And do you feel that you have any true competitors in the space, or do you feel that you're building kind of the next layer of AI technology?
It's a good question. The space is definitely trending right now and a lot of players in it. I think our competitive edge in the expertise in AI specifically, because the team has been in the AI space more than in Web3 space. Our CEO is 35 years in AI and analytics, and it's his third company around analytics and data. I think that's kind of the key component that allows us to build those complex swarms. Swarms is just like multiple agents working together. It's like how do you build an infrastructure for them to work together, to exchange value, to really discover agents in the ecosystem? How do you assign reputation? How do you evaluate the outcomes of those agents? And so that's what we're working on. I would say that this is fairly unique in the Web3 ecosystem. So I know there are other, we call them L1 for AI, protocols that marketplaces are out there. But I think our competitive edge is still in the coordination and collaboration.
And on that note, who do you think is your target demographic? Do you think it's business to business to consumer, or do you feel it's a blend of the two?
So I think it's a very good question. And I would say that we are still in the discovery phase of that. Our current approach is that we would cater to other Web3 projects with the solution called the Alpha Swarm. So basically, it would allow them to better interact with their community using natural language interfaces, and then enable their communities to provide liquidity into those protocols. So the solution is really built for business to business right now. But obviously, like everyone in the Web3 space, we're in the community building business, right? So the core of the technology should still be focusing on the community. So I would say that the customer is still the business, but then the user is really the community around that business.
And what's the biggest alpha you can give us on the project at this moment in time without getting into too much trouble?
First of all, we've announced the mainnet that is coming in mid-July, and we will be obviously building the engagement mechanics similar to what we've built previously with the testnet. So stay tuned for more news on that front, but that's kind of the alpha that I can share at this point of time.
Yeah, no, that's huge. The mainnet is coming in July, I think is, something that's very, very exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are waiting to get their teeth stuck into that one. We'll jump onto the more personal questions now, Ash. Your life experiences and thoughts on various different topics. So we'll hit this off with, what is the worst advice that you've ever been given?
The worst advice that is probably relevant to the Web3 space. It's not even something that, a specific person told me to do or not to do. It's more so the perception that existed in the ecosystem, since I've joined. And so I think the gist of it is that you should follow the main trend. And to some extent, this is true. But at the same time, it's your decision on how you want to leverage this main trend and how far you want to go in this way, right? And so just to visualize what I mean is look at what was happening in the agentic AI space in December. So we've seen a lot of hype, a lot of excitement around AI agents. But the reality of it was that a lot of those AI agents wouldn't really give any utility. So the obvious decision for any project out there, and especially for, marketing people, would be, okay, let's, deploy all the resources, let's double down, let's go TGE in that environment. And so, a lot of projects did, and then we've seen valuations skyrocketed. But then, a couple months after that, so right now we're half a year past that, and look at majority of those projects right now. So, and that hurts reputation. We're in the business of building something that is useful for the ecosystem, and that goes a long way. So it's not only the product, it's also the perception of the ecosystem about you as an ecosystem player.
I think that's some great advice as well. There's obviously going to be narratives and peaks and troughs across specific cycles, but yeah, you need the quality and the longevity to go along with that. And yeah, blindly aping a narrative isn't necessarily the best advice either. So yeah, great thoughts on that. What is your favorite conspiracy theory that you don't actually believe?
I think I'll just take the most cheesy one. So a lot of people think that AI is going to take their jobs, right? So that's one of the biggest conspiracy theories out there right now. And the way I approach it is the following. I've tried building AI agents myself. I'm quite technical, so I love really getting into nuts and bolts of those things that I work with. And so it's insanely hard. Even with ChatGPT, getting to something that works is really, really hard. And where I'm getting with this is AI models right now are very powerful. We wouldn't even imagine something like that in 2018. I remember I learned about transformer models in 2019. I hosted an AGI meetup at that time, and there was a guy who is a PhD professor right now. And fast forward 3 years after that, people started hyping about ChatGPT. So we always underestimate the impact when the technology is hot. And then we get really disillusioned when we learn how hard it is to really apply it to something useful. And so to get it to the point where it really replaces the decision-making capacity of a human being, it will take years from now. A lot of years.
I think that reminds me as well of when computers started to become mainstream and people felt that computers were going to take their jobs. I think people are just very fearful of change and technology because they don't necessarily understand the value proposition and where it improves efficiencies and potentially opens up other opportunities. It's always an interesting one.
Yeah, so on that note, I think it's a very good point. So I got really interested in perception in the past couple of months. And so I think it has to do with the perception. So when there is something that people do not understand, they think about this thing as the God.
I completely agree. Whose opinion do you value the most on social media and why?
I try to be as technical as possible for a marketing lead. And I really value the opinion of our team. So for example, our CEO puts out a lot of really deep content on AI. And also in the Web3 space, there is this new trend of InfoFi, and a lot of people started producing content around that. And that's where the excitement about the perception comes from, because InfoFi has a lot to do with the perception. So I obviously follow Yuhu, the CEO of Kaido. I follow a bunch of folks from Cookie. There is this also upcoming project called Product KOLs. And we just had a chat with their CTO that was very, very insightful.
As you said, Kaito, Cookie, two great InfoFi projects, and I'm aware I've referenced them as protocols. I don't know if it's protocols or proto KOLs, but yeah, they're doing a great job too. So, and also to Ron as well. The articles that he produces are absolutely fantastic. I definitely recommend that people read those. The Crypto PowerPod is sponsored by Decrypting, the web-free affiliate service where affiliate profits go directly back to the community instead of centralized exchanges, service providers, or influencers. Take a look at decrypting.xyz for a range of fantastic sign-up offers and bonuses and become part of the community. Moving on to takeaways. So what is your go-to takeaway or fast food?
Go-to takeaway for fast food? Okay. So my partner, she's more into fast food. I'm more into clean eating. But if we go to fast food these days, the Shake Shack. We just had Shake Shack opened by our place in Toronto. So I think they just penetrated the market just recently. And I remember from last year, these long lines to Shake Shack. And I was like looking at them and saying, in a year, I'll go in without any person on that line. And this is what happened. Just like a couple of weeks ago, we went in, there was nobody. And yeah, it was good. It was good. It's been a long time since I've had fast food, though.
I think there's always a balance. I hate queuing as well. I can't stand queuing for anything. So
I'm into street food, though. So I'm big on street food. And it's kind of like also fast food, but it's not like chains, right? So not those chains that we got used to. So I'm very much into like Iraqi, Iranian food. I think that's kind of just personal preference. So yeah.
Great stuff. And that's a healthy balance as well. You know, depending on kind of how the food's being cooked and what's being put into it, I think there's an argument that fast food can be healthy. It just depends what type of fast food you're having. So solid answer. If you had a clone, what would you have them do for you?
All the research. I would, so the one thing when people ask me if I had a superpower, what would it be? And my answer was always, the ability to just drill through the complexity, drill through vast amount of information and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, no, it's a very laborious task. So I completely understand that one.
That's why I like ChatGPT so much, because it's kind of my clone that you can program in a way. But then again, it wouldn't replace my research capabilities, but you still have to guide it in a lot of different ways. So, but it's definitely super, super helpful.
So I see ChatGPT or similar as kind of admin to what we need it to do. You are right. It needs the guidance and the parameters setting to actually be helpful. So good answer again. Which non-crypto app do you use the most? So this is absolutely nothing to do with your job.
I use a lot of traditional finance apps for, managing finance. We have traditional ways of saving money and multiplying, your wealth. So I would call out Monarch in that way, because it really allows to manage personal finances in a really good way. And then ClassPass. ClassPass is super cool. So me and my wife, we go to yoga through ClassPass. So I think coming back to the beginning of our conversation about the utility and focusing on the right thing, I think on the most further end of the spectrum, it's like focusing on fundamentals. And fundamentals for us is, eating clean and exercising.
I keep saying health is wealth. And I see a lot of more people getting involved in the likes of yoga or meditation. And I think there's a really good balance. And it leads me nicely on to the next question, which is, what do you do for fun? Is it yoga specifically? Is it going on long walks? What do you do for fun?
So yeah, both are true. But nothing takes my mind away of work better than sailing. So I'm very much into sailing, into competitive sailing. So I do racing on sailing boats. I was more active on that end when I lived in Ukraine, a decade ago. So now I'm part of the crew, but before I had my own crew. We would participate in Ukrainian national competitions. So the reason I guess this is the best one for me is because when you steer the boat and you're in the middle of the race, the amount of chaos and ambiguity and harshness is so high that there is no way you can think about anything else. So you're just in a moment. Anything that gives you this feeling of you being in the moment is gold.
I think you've been preparing for the bear and bull cycles for a couple of through sailing, and this is why I love these podcasts. Honestly, I would never have guessed that you were into competitive sailing. So that's really cool. Great stuff. And what is your favorite movie of all time?
Movie of all time. I keep coming back to a couple of movies. Honestly, we just rewatched Snatch just like a week ago, and this is the one that we keep coming back because of the level of style of that movie. I just like stylish things, and I think Guy Ritchie went over the board, really crafting each individual character and how they amalgamate in that movie. So every tiny like phrase, every look, it's handcrafted. So I really like that level of attention to details and style.
See, I'd agree with that. And for anybody that's Gen Z and hasn't seen Snatch yet, you need to put that on your list of movies to watch. I think that's a great shout. What's your most unpopular opinion about the crypto space?
Like, I've seen a lot in crypto. I even left crypto in 2018 because of the level of extractive behavior that I was not a part of, that I saw at that point of time. So I focused on AI for 3 years and then came back to crypto in 2021. And that's the unpopular opinion, that this space is really good in a way that a lot of people come to it and they're willing to put a lot of effort and their mental capacity towards figuring out what is the most innovative thing to do. But at the same time, there are a lot of players who utilize that and who steer the community in the wrong way. And this will always be a part of it. I just accepted the fact that those two things, they come hand to hand. And so I think we and everyone in my team, and the reason I'm a part of this team, is that my first conversation with our CPO when I was joining was around this specific topic. The amount of bad behavior in the crypto ecosystem, and my opinion about it. And, fast forward 1.5 years, we're still sticking to the right thing, to really locking in on the value proposition and making sure that you provide value and build the right kind of community around yourself. Yeah, that's kind of the unpopular opinion.
I think that's a good analysis. I think you're quite right. It comes back to values and ethics, but ultimately where there's monetary opportunity on a global scale, and then there's going to be people that are going to want a slice of whatever's basically being offered. So I think you're quite right. You cannot have one without the other, but ultimately we're trying to do good in this space. Now we're going to turn back time. Tell me something you believed as a child that makes you laugh now.
Whoa. Well, I truly believe that I would make $1 million when I was 25. So like, if you'd ask me when I was, 15 or 20, whether that's true, I'd be like, man, why are you even asking? Yeah, and so that was such a strong belief that this is gonna happen. So it hasn't happened yet, but in a year. So there were like specific requirements, so to say. But yeah, I think it's really important to have something like that. So it doesn't have to be $1 million, but you really should have those dreams that you kind of follow. They definitely evolve. So it's like I don't feel daunted by the fact that it hasn't happened. It's just it makes me laugh a bit because those silly childish beliefs, but at the end of the day, they kind of carve you as a human being. So that's maybe why I'm into personal finance so much, and that's why I stick to innovative technologies and whatnot. So yeah.
Absolutely. We need to have the aspirations. And as you said, it's character building. You change the goalposts, you adapt, and you try to figure it out. But everybody definitely has to have those aspirations. I definitely agree with that. If you could live in any time period, which would you choose?
I always say that I was probably born in the wrong age, I would choose something more chaotic, like exploration phase. I can totally see myself a captain of a ship departing to unknown lands. So I would definitely do that.
I think that makes sense.
With my own squad.
I think that makes sense. It's got like Viking vibes going on there as well. So it's, yeah, absolutely. What's the scariest or craziest thing that you've ever done? And would you recommend it?
So I would definitely recommend. I haven't yet come up with the answer, but you should definitely do those scariest things in your life, because that's what allows you to get off your own comfort zone. The example that comes up right now is when we were in Philippines, they take you through the canyon where they allow you to jump from cliffs, and they start from really tiny ones. And then by the cliff number 10, you have to jump from like 20 meters. And that's a really long journey down. It's really the same feeling when you try something new, right? Yeah, you definitely have to be prepared. So don't jump 20 meters on your first try. But yeah, you should definitely try new things.
So, final question is bucket list. What is the number one thing that you want to tick off?
Tick off. Well, it's something that I'm working on right now. Another comes down to another belief that by 2030, everyone would be a coder. So like every human being on the planet would become a coder. And I started learning how to code in 2015. Obviously, I'm not a coder right now, but you don't have to be. So now we have ChatGPT and like you can vibe code. Obviously, if you build like an enterprise scale solution, like it's not going to be enough. But the gap is now becoming, smaller and smaller. So and the next thing that I want to tick off is I want to build my own agent. I really believe that now 2030, it's not about coding anymore. It's just like really building your own assistant that takes off some part of your mundane tasks. So I started building one. Actually, it's been working until this week. I just didn't have enough time to fix it. But it would take public data from Kaido, analyze it, from Kaido Yups, from the pre-GG Arena leaderboard, because that's something that I need to be looking at pretty much every day. And so it tells me what has changed in 3 hours intervals.
Fantastic stuff. It's been great having you on today, Ash, and learning a lot more about yourself and Theoriq AI and what they're building out in the space as well. So on behalf of myself and the Crypto PowerPod, thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I really enjoyed the format here where we kind of mix things from different eras of a person's life, from different aspects. I think it's really important to be this kind of wholesome individuals. And it was great to share some of the personal stuff together with things that we're working on.
And for anybody that's tuning in, please do check out Theoriq AI's socials, and we'll see everybody in the next episode.